Hi 2D Design students. Today we're going to be working through getting all of your portrait sketches into your actual physical sketchbook. And we're going to do something called sketchnoting, also known as visual journaling. You can find this paper either in Schoology or you might have the hard copy if you're in class today. Here are the 7 required things that you're going to need. These are all the things that we've worked on over the last several weeks. All pictorial anatomy handouts, that would be considered something like this. That is a pictorial, not the actual reference images, but the actual pictorial anatomy handouts. If you are not in class and you learn at home virtually, I will not require this from you because I do not expect you to have a colored printer or a printer at all at home. So if you have a printer, great, you can print them out. If not, then that's not something I'm going to be able to hold you to. Right? Optional items, any notes that might help you, and any additional practice drawings that you might have done. I want to take you through what I'm actually talking about here when I talk about sketchnoting or visual journaling. This is a sample from my own personal sketchbook, not of portraiture, but of color theory. So I have some color wheels here. So I have my notes actually in my sketchbook in a way with an interesting and visual pleasing layout. Okay. And this is something we're going to be working through once we get to acrylic paint. So we're going to get started kind of dabbling with it now. Again, you can create things that fold out in your sketchbook, like pockets. Okay, this was just a piece of paper that I glued in with a button and a little piece of elastic. Okay, washi tape, paper, glue. And again, I have my notes actually in my sketchbook. Another example, some technique work that I've done with notes in it. So you can think of sketchnoting as a way of getting your notes into your sketchbook in a way that is artistically pleasing or visually pleasing. Considering it is art class, that would be an expectation. Okay, here's some more examples for you. The process a little bit here. You're going to need your sketchbook for this, obviously, and you're going to want to open to the next area where you have some clean pages. Okay, so for me, it's right here. You can see where it says additional instructions. There's no page requirement. So what I mean by that is there is no amount of pages that you need. You might use 7 pages because there are 7 requirements. You might use 14 if you want to spread things out a little bit. I'm not looking for a certain number of pages. I'm just looking that you get everything into your sketchbook as needed. Any medium can be used to supplement sketchnoting. So what I mean by that is you can use paint, you can use markers, you can use collage, you can literally use anything that you would like in order to supplement and create your pages. I want you to allow this to be just like a fun, relaxing way of organizing your notes for future reference. That way you don't just have a whole bunch of loose papers hanging out and then they end up in the garbage. They're actually in your sketchbook. You can refer back to them later. So it's just good practice, and then you have this whole sketchbook that by the end of the year we can hopefully have filled, and it is something that you can kind of look back on through your artistic life. I'm going to start with the head setup. You really could start anywhere you wanted. I'm not looking for it to necessarily be in this order. So head setup from 3/4 view, front view, and profile. These are the sketches that we originally started with, along with these. I'm going to include my pictorial anatomy structure. If for some reason you don't have a handout, maybe you were absent that day or something, let me know. I can get that for you. And I might also include some notes. Whether I include this actual paper or I just jot some things down, that's totally up to you, and that is an optional thing. So the next logical step, of course, is to have cut out your drawings, and we're going to figure out how I'm going to arrange them. Of course, if you didn't draw on loose paper and you drew directly into your sketchbook, that's okay. You have 2 options. You can either tear the paper out cut up and then rearrange on a separate sheet of paper, or you can simply take the sheet that you have in your sketchbook, especially if you have drawings on the back, and figure out a good way of making it look visually pleasing. So I'll typically start by addressing my page somehow. I'm going to use these Tombow markers, little water, it'll create like a watercolor effect. Anything will work, collage, acrylic paint, whatever you want to use, but I think starting with the background color is a good way. Get creative with the materials that you use. If you're at home, magazines work great, or newspaper, collage paper, construction paper. I'm going to go ahead and glue my drawings on here so they have little backgrounds. But it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can be stuff you can have around your house if you're at home working virtually. Once I kind of have all of my drawings and my anatomy handouts kind of pasted, I'm going to go ahead and figure out how exactly I'm going to arrange them on my sketchbook paper. So in order to do that, I'm going to kind of lay everything out. I want to create like a flip pad here so I'm not wasting too much of my paper. So I'm going to do that just by taking a little piece of cardboard, gluing it to the top, and now I can kind of flip through. My drawings are layered on one page, which I think is pretty cool. And then I'm going to go ahead and paste another one down at the bottom, and I'm going to go ahead also and add like a title to the top so that I know what I'm actually looking at. Mod Podge or gel medium also looks great, works great for sketchbooking if you're trying to get your handouts nice and flat. Go ahead and cover the tops of them. Sharpies, markers, whatever you need to add notes. I'm going to go ahead and add notes from the handout itself rather than writing them down. So if you have really bad handwriting, you might want to actually attach some of those notes if you want to refer to them later on to help you with your final portrait.